Sairam students, welcome back. Hope all of you are doing fine. Today we will not be doing anything from history nor geography. We will be starting a new lesson in civics. In civics, we have already finished with the first two lessons. Yes. So what did we learn in the first two lessons? Yes. So before we go ahead with the third lesson of our civics, let us answer two questions. The first question is, what is a constitution? We've already learned what is a constitution, isn't it, children? What is a constitution? A constitution is a book whereby all the fundamental laws, rules, and regulations which each and every citizen has to follow is mentioned, isn't it? So, that is a constitution. Other than this, we also learn what is a preamble. Yes, we have learned in detail what is a preamble. Preamble is the preface to the Indian Constitution. Yes, so we have the preamble which we say during our prayers, also during the assembly. We, the people of India, that is the preamble which we say. And we learned also the key words which were mentioned in the preamble. Today, we are going to learn the other features. Yes, some of the features of Indian Constitution in our chapter 5, features of the Constitution. Yes, the third chapter of civics, features of the Constitution. Okay, now what will we begin with? Federalism. Yes, what is federalism? We'll try to understand it. Okay, what is federalism? Federalism is one of the most important features of the Constitution. Yes, why is it one of the most important features of the Constitution, and why have we accepted this? Why are we following this principle of federalism? Yes, why do we have federalism? Now, children, we know that India is a very large country considering its area also. Yes, we have so much of diversity. Along with that, area wise also we are a big country. Yes, we are the seventh largest country in the world. India is the seventh largest country in the world. Now, since India being a big country, ruling a large country from a single capital city is difficult, and it also leads to the neglect of far-flung areas. Yes, so when we have a big country like India, it becomes difficult to rule the whole country from one single place. Yes, so what will happen because of this? It may lead, yes, it may also result in the neglect of far-flung areas. Okay, now suppose if we had only one ruling part in India, that is we have Delhi. Okay, so from Delhi it would be very difficult. Yes, it would be very difficult to rule some remote place, say somewhere in the southern part of India. So over there, neglect means it would be overlooked over the far-flung areas, the areas which are far. They might be neglected in terms of development, education, sanitation, health. All these things, all the facilities would not be provided in to the extent as what we have today. Yes, so that is why, for this reason, governments, yes, we have governments which function at two levels, isn't it? So India is a country where we have governments at two levels. So having this government as two levels, yes, the government at the center carries out the administration of the entire country. So it is called the union government. The government that oversees the administration of the region that we live in is called the state government, and the state government looks after the administration of a particular state. In our earlier slide, we also already saw that the governments function at two levels. So which are those two levels of government? The two levels of government is the union government and the state government. So the union government, yes, the union government which we know, the union government, this union government, it is for the entire country. Yes, union government for the entire country. Yes, now we have the union government at the center, that is in New Delhi, whereby we have the chief minister, the prime minister, sorry. Yes, so the prime minister is for the whole country. We have one prime minister for the whole of our India. So the government that carries out administration at the center is called the of the entire country. Yes, so that government is called as the union government. Now, since we are staying in the state of Maharashtra, yes, there is a government which oversees the administration of that particular state, for state of Maharashtra. Yes, so that government is called the state government. So each and every state will have its own government. For example, the state of Bengal, West Bengal will have its own state government. The state of Tamil Nadu will have its own state government. The state of Chhattisgarh will have its own state government, isn't it? So the number of states which we have, we'll be learning about that also. The number of states which we have, they will be having their own state governments over there, isn't it? So the state government looks after the administration of a particular state. For example, the state of Gujarat, yes, Gujarat will have its own state government. The state of Rajasthan will have its own state government, isn't it? So that way, they will be, a cooperation between the state government and the union government. Okay, so this system of running the administration of a country cooperatively by the governments at two levels, making laws about different subjects, is called federalism. So what is federalism or the federal system is where you can see over here, children. Okay, over here, this federal system, you have the state government here. Okay, you have the state government here working cooperatively with the central government, isn't it? So this cooperation is needed. So they are working together cooperatively, both the governments at two levels working cooperatively. So that system is called as federalism or federal system, isn't it? So together, combining their powers together, they are working for the betterment of the state as well as the nation. So this system of running the administration of a country cooperatively by the governments at two levels, making laws about different subjects, is called federalism. I hope this is clear. What is federalism? The government function at two levels. In India, we have the union government for the entire country and the state government for that particular state. Fine. Going ahead. Separation of powers. Now what does this mean by separation of powers? Since we have governments at two levels, the powers will be separated. The list of subjects for which they have to make laws is also separated. Okay, the constitution has divided the subjects for making laws between the union government and the state government. So the laws which are to be made by the union government is different and by the state government is also different. Okay, the union list contains 97 subjects on which union government makes laws. Yes, so the union list is a list from the constitution which has been provided. It contains 97 subjects. Yes, 97 subjects mean 97 issues, 97 points are there, or you can say 97 objectives are there according to which the union government needs to make laws. That is called the union list. Fine. Then what about the state government? That is called the state list. Yes. So we have the union list for the union government, the state list for the state government. Yes. So the state list is for the state government to legislate upon. To legislate upon means to make laws. So to make laws upon. So in the state list there are 66 subjects, whereas in the union list it is having 97 subjects. Fine. Then the concurrent list contains 47 subjects on which both the governments can make laws. Fine. So the concurrent list, yes, so it is a list which combines the laws which is to be made by the by the union government as well as by the state government, and it contains 47 subjects. Fine. So the union list contains 97 subjects, the state list contains 66 subjects, and the concurrent list contains 47 subjects. Now what are the subjects? For examples, what would be the rules and laws which they would be making upon? Yes, so over here you can see the union list. Yes, the union list is having, you can see over here the union list. This is the union list over here. It has subjects related to defense, foreign relations, war and peace, currency, international trade. Right. Then about the state list. Yes, the state list which we have, it is related to agriculture, law and order, local government, health, prison administration. The concurrent list means the list on which the both the governments make laws. It is related to employment, environment, economic and social planning, education, and personal law. So these are some of the examples or some of the subjects on which the state government and the union government makes laws. So the union list makes laws on defense, foreign relations, war and peace, currency, international trade, etc. State list contains subjects like agriculture, law and order, local government, health, prison administration, etc. And concurrent list contains employment, environment, economic and social planning, education and personal law. Okay, I hope this is clear to you children. Fine. Moving ahead. Next, what we have is residuary powers. Yes, now we know that both the government have some powers within for them to carry out their duties. Okay, now at times what happens is, we saw the list or the subjects which union government, the state government have to make laws upon. But at times it may happen if a subject that comes up that is not included in any of the lists. So at that time the union government is entitled to make laws on it. Okay, now we saw those three lists which are there. So if at times some subjects come up, some issues come out where it is that issue is not at all, or that subject is not there in any of those three lists. Yes, so at that time the responsibility of making laws is there with the union government. So they get those powers of making the laws related to those subjects, and these powers are termed as residuary powers. Okay, so what are residuary powers? If a subject comes up that is not included in any of the list, the union government is entitled to make laws on it, and these powers are termed as residuary powers. Is it clear to you children? Fine. Now going ahead, next we are going to learn about the union territories. Yes, the union territories. Now what are union territories? In India there is a union government. There is a union government. So 27 states and 7 union territories. So we have 29 states and 7 union territories. This is as per the textbook which we have, but now we have included two more union territories in the list. We'll be seeing it, but according to the textbook we have 29 states and 7 union territories. Okay, the union government controls the union territories. So 29 states which are there, the government over there is the state government. Yes, so the rule of the state government follows over there. What about the union territories? So those union territories are controlled by the union government. The union government will look after the administration of those union territories. Fine. So we have our this is the formation of states and union territories over here. You can see. Okay, this is a clear view of the union territories. We will just find out which are those union territories. The first seven union territories which we have. Okay, we have the Lakshadweep over here, the Dadra and Nagar Haveli. Okay, Dadra and Nagar Haveli we have over here. Dadra and Nagar Haveli. Then we have Daman and Diu. Over here we have Chandigarh, Delhi. Then we have Pondicherry over here and the Andaman and Nicobar Islands over here. So these are the 7 union territories according to your textbook. 2 more additions which are there is the Jammu and Kashmir and the Ladakh. These 2 were added in the union territories last year. Fine. So according to the textbook, we have 7 according to the textbook 7 union territories, but at present we have 9 union territories. Fine. So but when you write in your exam, such a question comes, you have to go according to what the teacher is giving to you in the written work. Fine. I hope this is clear to you children. So the 7 union territories which we have to write is about Chandigarh, New Delhi, Dadra and Nagar Haveli, Daman and Diu, Lakshadweep Islands, Puducherry, which was earlier known as Pondicherry, and Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So these 7 union territories are administered by the union government. Fine. And then we have the the states also. You can see those number of states which we have. 29 states we are having. We are having the Jammu and Kashmir, we are having Himachal Pradesh, Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Goa, Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Bihar, then Jharkhand, West Bengal, Sikkim, Meghalaya, Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura. All these are the 29 states which we have in our country. So the total number of states which we have is 29 and the number of territories which we have is 7 for the text. It is as per the textbook, which the answer which is given in the textbook. But in reality, today's time, we have 9 union territories. Fine. So I hope you have understood this first part of the features of the constitution. What we learnt about in the features of the constitution was about federalism, where what is federalism? Where the governments function at 2 levels cooperatively, that is the union government for the entire country and the state government for the state. Okay. Then we also learnt about the subjects which are included in the list, in the union list, the state list and the concurrent list. We also learnt about the separation of powers. Yes. We also learnt about what residuary powers are. We learnt about the number of union territories which we have, also the number of states which we have. And the union territories are administered or governed by the union government. Fine. So I hope this is clear for you today, children. So we'll be continuing with our next part of this lesson in the next video. So for till then, stay safe. Sai Ram. Have a good day.